Have you ever wondered why some people try to avoid you at all costs, yet in the end they still can't forget you? Is there a secret behind their actions, and how can you become unforgettable in their minds, no matter what they say? Hello, I'm Jim Rohn. In this video, I will reveal 3 unexpected reasons why avoidant individuals can't forget you. These are not just common psychological tricks, but deep insights into how the human mind works. You will discover fascinating aspects of the power of contrast, how to evoke strong emotions, and why sincerity always wins. I will also share real-life stories and illustrative examples to help you easily apply this knowledge in your life. If you want to become an unforgettable person, someone who leaves a lasting impression on anyone, don't miss this video. Join me as we uncover these secrets and transform the way you interact with the world around you. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss my upcoming exciting videos. Reason 1. The Frankenstein X. There's a little secret I want to share with you, and it's about the illusory X-Bank. Imagine this. If an avoidant person finds a new source of dopamine, a new person who excites and captivates them, they might temporarily stop obsessing over you, but don't be too quick to think that you have completely disappeared from their mind. Instead, they still hold on to the best memories of you and store them in a kind of illusory X-Bank. Sounds a bit eerie, doesn't it? But it's the truth. And this leads us to an even more fascinating reality about the Frankenstein X. If you're not yet familiar with the psychological world of avoidance, you may have heard of the phenomenon called the Phantom X. Imagine looking at an old painting through a foggy glass, where only the most vibrant colors remain, while the scratches and dark patches have been blurred away. This is exactly how avoidants perceive the past, an effect known as the Phantom X phenomenon. They don't remember the full relationship, but only preserve the most beautiful moments, as if the love never had any cracks. The arguments, the loneliness, the incompatibilities gradually fade or get downplayed, making their ex-partner an almost unrealistically perfect figure. And this illusion unconsciously shapes how they view love in the present, always comparing, always reminiscing, but never truly connecting. People often think of the Phantom X as a single, irreplaceable former lover, but I don't see it that way. I believe this is no longer just one Phantom X, but rather a Frankenstein X, a perfect model pieced together from the best memories of all their past relationships. Avoidants don't just idealize one person, they unconsciously create a version of love that doesn't exist, a standard so high that no one can ever reach it. This traps them in an endless cycle of comparison and disappointment. No one is ever truly good enough. No one is ever truly compatible, because the person they're searching for was never a real human to begin with. Imagine you're in a race against an invisible opponent, someone who doesn't actually exist yet is always there, silently shaping all of their expectations. No matter how sincerely you love them, in the mind of an avoidant person, you're just a puzzle piece in the idealized picture they've constructed. This makes anyone who enters their life a contestant in an unfair competition, because your opponent has no flaws, no mistakes, and never actually existed. And this is what keeps them stuck. They keep searching for a better, more perfect love, but they can never truly grasp it. Every new relationship inevitably gets placed on the scale of comparison, and every real person in their life can never outshine an idealized figure sculpted by selective memory. In the end, they keep running from true intimacy, while those who once loved them walk away feeling unfulfilled. Not because you weren't good enough, but because they never truly saw you in your entirety. So, ironically, avoidants, the very people who fear attachment, are the ones who never truly let go. They may distance themselves physically, enter new relationships, or even convince themselves that they have completely forgotten the past. But the truth is, you are still there, in a small corner of their mind. Not as your real self, but as a part of the idealized picture they unconsciously created. And this is what keeps them trapped. When they romanticize the past but never truly face it, They become prisoners of the very memories they have deliberately altered. They do not fully live in the present, nor do they truly move forward. They remain stuck between the fragments of what should have been, but never actually existed. This is the greatest paradox of avoidance. They run from intimacy, yet they are haunted by the relationships they were too afraid to hold on to. And this is the greatest tragedy of the Frankenstein X. They are never truly present anywhere. They don't fully move on, nor do they ever truly return. They simply float between what was and what never existed, forever searching for something better, yet never having the courage to face the reality of love. That no one is perfect, and that true intimacy requires accepting both the flaws and the beauty of another person. They may remember you, but not the real you. Only a version of you painted with selectively edited memories. They may long for a relationship, but not a real one. Just a dream they refuse to wake up from. And the cruelest part? You may be part of that story, but you will never be the main character, because to them, no one ever truly is. Only fragments of memories stacked on top of each other, forming a silhouette they chase, but never reach. And that leads us to the next reason. Reason 2. The magician's cloak. Did you know that avoidants spend their entire lives hiding themselves, even from themselves? They refine their image, adjust their behavior to meet others' expectations, and only reveal the parts they deem safe. This is the magician's cloak, a perfect facade they wear to control how the world perceives them. But sometimes, in a fleeting moment, that cloak slips. And if you were there when it happened, you would recognize it instantly. That moment doesn't have to be a tearful confession or a long, heartfelt night of opening up. It can come unexpectedly, a fleeting glance where they reveal fear, a subconscious remark they didn't have time to conceal, a second when they forget to perform and simply exist as they are. That is when you see the vulnerability behind their composed exterior, when you sense the emotions they've worked so hard to suppress. And here's the most important part. For an avoidant, that moment is not just a minor event, it's a slip in the defense system they have spent their whole life building. So, even if they leave you, even if they bury themselves in new relationships or pretend they don't care, they still remember. They remember not because you were the most special person, but because you were the one who saw them. And in their world, very few people ever get that privilege. There are moments in life that cannot be measured by words or logical reasoning. They can only be felt, and if you have ever witnessed an avoidant letting down their guard, you would understand. Not because they said anything grand or expressed their emotions clearly, but because the atmosphere between you suddenly felt different. A heavy silence, an irregular heartbeat, a strange feeling that something significant had just happened. It could be when they told you a story they had never shared with anyone before. Not a simple anecdote about work or hobbies, but a piece of memory carrying pain or deep longing, something they usually keep hidden. They might downplay it, speak indifferently as if it were nothing important. But you could feel the hesitation, the fragility in their words. Or perhaps they said nothing at all, just sat there in silence, revealing an expression so rare that no one else had ever seen it. And in that moment, you knew that you had truly seen them, not the person they tried to be, but the person they really were inside. It was unlike any other conversation. It wasn't just sharing, it was a test. If I let you see me like this, will you still stay? Whether the relationship continued or not, whether they retreated back into their shell or not, that moment left a mark. Because for an avoidant, allowing someone to see their true self is so rare that they can never forget it. The final reason I believe is even more important. Reason 3. The emotional time capsule effect. Imagine the mind of an avoidant person as a room filled with neatly arranged memory boxes, sealed tightly and never opened unless something triggers them. This is the emotional time capsule effect, a psychological phenomenon that prevents them from truly forgetting a relationship, even when they try to push it out of their mind. Have you ever smelled a familiar scent and instantly been pulled back into a distant memory? That's how state-dependent memory works. when an emotion or past experience is locked away and can only be accessed again when we find ourselves in the same emotional state. But for avoidance, this is not just a fleeting moment of nostalgia. For example, let's say she once felt loved and accepted when she was with you, but because of her fear of attachment, she pushed you away. "I need space. I can't let anyone get too close," she tells herself, thinking that if she stays away long enough, those feelings will fade. But the problem is, they don't actually disappear. They are locked away in a memory capsule, waiting for the right moment to be reopened. Time passes, and she enters a new relationship. At first, everything seems fine, but then, inevitably, the cycle begins again. She finds herself in the first stage once more, the longing to be loved. And at that very moment, the memory capsule of you is activated. Not because she wants to remember you, but because this emotional state pulls up all related memories, like a film rewinding to previous moments when she felt the same way. "Well, am I thinking about him now? There's no reason for this. I've already moved on." This is also why the death wheel, the avoidance cycle, keeps repeating itself. She believes she is in control, that she can completely erase the past. But the truth is, every time those old emotions resurface, they don't come alone. They bring faces, moments, and imprints that cannot be erased. I don't miss her. I just miss that feeling, right? And that is the paradox. Avoidants run from their emotions, yet their very nature keeps them trapped in memories they cannot control. They run, but the cycle follows. They forget, but the time capsule remains, waiting to be opened. So, we've explored the hidden corners of the avoidant mind, from the Frankenstein X, the magician's cloak, to the emotional time capsule effect. The sad yet ironic reality is that while they try to escape intimacy, they unknowingly become trapped in the very memories they attempt to forget. They never truly let go because deep moments of connection cannot simply be erased. They are only locked away, waiting to be reopened. If you've ever loved an avoidant, you may have wondered, do they ever think about me? The answer is yes, but not in the way you might hope. You are not forgotten, but rather a piece of a story they are too afraid to face. And whether they return or not, the most important thing is that you don't allow yourself to become stuck in that same loop. Thank you for watching this video. If this content resonated with you or made you reflect on something within yourself, leave a comment and share your thoughts. I would love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future content about psychology and relationships. See you in the next video.